Hi everyone! Welcome to our lesson for today. So we will be talking about ratio and proportion. So let's go and know the basics. So first, let us define what is a ratio. So it is a relationship between two quantities and we can write it in two forms, which is read as A over B. And the second one we have which is read as A is to B. Next up is we have the rate. So the rate is a type of ratio that talks about the comparison of two quantities with different units. For example, you would encounter in some problems that they would be talking about kilometers per hour. Sometimes they also talk about feet per second. And also we can have an example which is peso is to dollar. So you can see that they are comparing two different quantities. So now let's go on to the next one. So we have a proportion. So a proportion is the type of equality where the two ratios are equal. So for example, you have here A over B is equal to C over D. You could also write this as A is to B is equal to C is to D. When we use numbers, you could write 3/5 is equal to 9 over 15 or 3:5 is equal to 9:15. So that is the meaning of a proportion. Now let's go on to the different types of proportion. For the first one, we have the direct proportion. So it is the kind of relationship where two or more quantities increase or decrease on the same ratio. For example, you have here 100 pesos, and this 100 pesos would increase every 2 hours. So you could say that this is also equal to 1,000 pesos in 20 hours. So both quantities are increasing. So when we get the cross products of this one, so let's multiply. We have 1,000 times 2 is equal to 100 times 20. So that would give us 2,000 on both sides. So this is an example of a direct proportion. For the next one, we have the indirect proportion. So it is the kind of relationship where one quantity decreases and the other one increases. So for example, we have here 12 is to 5 is equal to 20 is to 3. How did we know that this is an indirect proportion? So remember, in direct proportion, we used to cross multiply numbers and make sure they are equal. Now, we don't need to cross multiply, but we need to multiply the numbers on the same side. So it would give us 12 times 5 is equal to 20 times 3. So you have 60 is equal to 60. So this is an example of an indirect proportion. So the last one we have is partitive partition. So from the word itself, partitive, so hinahati-hati. It is the kind of proportion that requires dividing a number or a quantity into two or more parts that are not necessarily equal. So for example, you have here a whole square, and I would want to divide it by 2/3 and 1/3. So this is my first part, and this one is my second part. So later on, you would understand the definitions better when we provide more examples when it comes to problem solving. So that would be all for our introduction for today, and I hope that you learned something new. I hope to see you soon again. Thank you very much.